Hi everyone, welcome back to Podium. It's the final London Elite Field announcement day, and it's the men's international elites that we're going to be talking about in this episode. We've had the Brits on Monday, the wheelchair races on Tuesday, the international women on Wednesday, and we're going to round it all off with another stacked field to bring you, and we're going to get into that in just a moment. But a reminder that we've partnered up with Walton. They've been fantastic supporters of this podcast since day one. And right now, if you are training to be one of these athletes at one of these major marathons, maybe not quite in the elite field, but you need a little bit of help along the way, then Walton is your place to go. You can get the marathon training collection. It's 15% off if you use the code Podium 2026. Go to Walton.com. You'll get a range of drink mixes, gels, whether that's caffeine gels or just the normal gels. You get some freebies thrown in there as well, a couple of bottles to get the solids and bars as well. It's going to take you through from the start of your training until race day, and it will give you an opportunity to try out things, see what works for you, whether that's in training or on race day. So head to Morton.com, Podium 2026, all one word, one-time purchase. You get 15% off. All right, Hannah, last day. Pumped?
I've just loved this week. I think it's been really, really fun to watch everyone getting excited about all the different reveals as well, especially the Brits. This event, London Marathon, to us as British people, for me as a former athlete, I never saw myself stepping up to the marathon, but still, I remember as a young kid, I would sit in front of the TV at 9 a.m. on that Sunday. No one else in my house cared, and I'd watch every second of this footage and just lap it all up. And I think that buzz, it feels early. We're just announcing the fields. We're going to build the excitement here on Podium all the way through till April the 26th. We've got some wonderful athlete interviews, and try and stop us getting excited about it, because we will punch right through all that, and just really looking forward to the next few weeks. And this week has been a great way to kickstart that.
Yeah, it's been brilliant to have access to this, hasn't it? And we're going to reveal to you now the men's elites to look out for. And Sabastian Sawe is back, the defending champion. He's returning and going to be going for a course record, we think. We'll get into that in a moment. Jacob Kiplimo is here, Gebrhiwet, Amos Kipruto, the Olympic champion, Tamirat Tola, Amanal Petros, who is really hammering away and getting closer to that European record. Jeffrey Kamora is also here. Joshua Cheptegei, who is due a proper breakthrough at marathons. He's going to be here too. And some very big debuts. Yomif, Kejelcha and Hagos, Gebrhiwet are going to be going in their first ever marathons. Right, let's play you part two of our interview with the head of elite athletes at the London Marathon, Spencer Barden, himself a former international athlete. He's been speaking to Hannah about what it takes to try and bring some of these athletes to London and why we should be so excited about this men's field.
One of the key things is obviously trying to get back your defending champions. And, you're already talking to those athletes and more of them, their managers, pretty much straight after the race the following day when they're still around the hotel and still in good spirits, and, saying, look, we're delighted to have you come back and defend your title next year. So that's really when it starts. And even other athletes that you would like to get back, you're already saying, look, we look forward to welcoming you back to London next year. So in their mind, they already know London are really keen for me to come back next year, which is great. And look, don't always get everybody back. There's, a lot of athletes decide to choose other races for various reasons. But that's when it starts, and it's really a sort of gradual process of building the fields, mainly sort of through the period, sort of August, September, October, really, and then by probably certainly after New York, and even now sort of Valencia. Valencia's become a bit of a key race in the calendar, certainly over the last 4 or 5 years. So you're always waiting for some results and see some performances there, and by pretty much mid-December, your international field is more or less finalised. There's people to add. There's some British performances which were fantastic this year in Valencia again. So obviously there's Brits that have moved forward and obviously are deserving of a place in the elite field. So yeah, it's sort of, it's a gradual process, and then obviously it builds, and then obviously that's why we're able to announce the fields in January, because they are more or less done.
I love the idea that a psychology degree might be helpful. When do you approach an athlete? And what do you say? Whether they've done tremendous or whether they've struggled. It's sort of coming in with exactly the right pitch. And you have a lot of competition with those other world marathon majors. What is it about London and London Marathon that you think kind of is the biggest selling point for you when you're trying to get people on the start line?
I think people see London is the best, the greatest marathon, and many athletes and agents have said to me, "Geez, winning in London is like it's as big as winning the Olympics because everybody's there." And yeah, we pride ourselves on that, bringing the best fields together. That's what doesn't matter where they're from, what nationality, what shoe brand. It's about bringing the best together, and that's what we do. And it's athletes know they have to be in super shape to come to London if they're going to get on the podium. In many cases, you've got to be in world record shape. We saw that last year from Tigges to Sifa with the women's only world record. We've seen how athletes in the men's race, people like Sabastian Sawe, have really progressed on. And after his great performance in Berlin, which were not in ideal conditions. So there's a sort of real sort of sense of anticipation around what can be done in London, what's the race going to be like, what sort of performances. But I think athletes want to be there because they know if they can win in London, it really shows they're probably the best marathon athlete in the world because the fields are so stacked and the depth is there. And it's something we pride ourselves on in London to do that year on year.
We look at the men as well. The British men are having an absolute moment in the marathon. They're just doing tremendous, and they've got a real opportunity with you guys in April as well.
Yeah, I think you're right. If we look at the men's field certainly from a British point of view, again, it's extremely strong. I think at the moment, I think probably the men's marathon is a little bit ahead of the women's marathon from a British point of view. We've got such depth there. We also got someone like Emil who was on the podium in London in 24. Obviously, was third in the Olympics fourth in the Olympics in Paris. So, he's up there with some of the best in the world. And he wants to move forward. He knows that he's in a 2.4, 2.5 range. He obviously his sights sort of set on Mo's British record. But foremost, he wants to be competitive in London. And you've got people like Phil Sessman's obviously, been very consistent, in there. You got Mohammed who's been in there as well. You got Patrick Deaver, who made a great debut as well in the marathon. So, all those athletes, George James, who ran well a couple of years ago at the European Marathon Championship, they're all going to be in London. So I think, it's going to be, and again, there'll be this group. There'll be almost like a British group, and it's what they do, because I think we'll have a pace group which is going at a British record pace. Probably around that 2.5 mark, and then there'll be others thinking maybe that's a bit too quick. And then we look at, do we have a sort of 2.6, 2.7 group, which is we know it's not a big difference when you're on the road, but it will make a big difference even if it's half a minute or a minute slower at halfway for those athletes. So it'll be an interesting dynamic once the pace groups are finalised, what those athletes decide to do. Do they commit to go for, a 2.5 type race, or do they sit back and sit at a 2.6, 2.7? So, but again, I think, there's a real good, strong group of British athletes, which, and it's the trial race as well for European marathon championships. And so I think it's going to be very competitive from a British point of view.
And like you say, you guys at London Marathon, you look after those Brits, and you create a smaller group, slightly slower, because that's what we need domestically. But we'll go to the front of that pack then. What are you expecting from the elite men this year?
Yeah, I think if we look at the field, as strong as the women's race, to be honest, Sabastian Sawe will come back. He for me is sort of a huge talent. We thought we saw it with Kelvin Kiptum, and sadly not with us anymore. But with Sabastian, what I saw last year in London, the way he sort of operated, and the first time he came to London, he ran extremely well, extremely strong to win the race. And then what I saw in Berlin was just phenomenal. And I was there. It was sort of 21 degrees at the start of the race, which is very unlike Berlin. It's normally sort of 8-10 degrees, which is pretty much ideal conditions. So it was just too hot. He gave it a go, only came away with a time just outside 2:02. I think that time was at least worth a minute and a half to 2 minutes in better conditions. So, I think the question is he somebody that can really challenge that 2 hour barrier in a city marathon, not like we have with Elliot in Vienna. So I think it will be interesting. But it's going to be a tough race. Jacob Kiplimo is coming back. Obviously, you've come from a great track background now into the marathon. Fantastic in Chicago with his performance there. So yeah, he's moved on as well. 2:23 in Chicago was a great run. So he's going to be in there as well. Amos Kipruto is going to come back, our champion from 22. We've got Tamirat Tola in there, the Olympic champion. We've got Amal Petros in there, obviously fantastic performance, and like I say, hopefully he'll bring his dick finish to London as well. So again, great German record in Valencia as well, off the back of his performance in Tokyo. And then a really interesting one for me is Yomif Kejelcha making his debut. So great on the half marathon, former world record holder in the half, silver medalist over 10,000 in Tokyo at the world champs, great background in the cross, I think double world indoor champion as well, over 3K. So it's going to be really interesting what he can do in the marathon with that group as well. So, and another interesting one in the debut is Hagos Gebrhiwet as well. He's going to also debut in London. So I think we've got a good dynamic of those sort of, we've got Joshua Cheptegei also in there as well. He's not probably quite made that transition from the track to really top end of marathon running just yet, but I think he'll probably get there. Hopefully it'll be in London, but let's see. So I think, again, we've got such a strong field on the men's side. Sabastian is obviously probably the standout, but I think, you look at, Kiplimo after he's running in Chicago, it's very much going to be a big head-to-head, I think, between those two. But there's another 4 or 5 athletes who we mentioned there that are going to be right in the mix in that leading group. And, will we go at world record pace? I'm not so sure. I think it'll be fast. We'll certainly be going for inside 2:02. And then we'll see. Certainly the London course, athletes are more than capable of running a world record in London, but it's a tough world record. But I think in good ideal conditions with a real strong competitive race, anything can happen. But no, I'm really excited about that sort of field again as well, especially how some of those athletes have moved on in the last couple of years, because some of them weren't even running marathons 3 years ago, but they've certainly progressed onto that over the last couple of years. And obviously it's always interesting. We've got a couple of really strong athletes making their debut, and that's something I always look to do. I remember even 4 years ago talking to Kiplimo's agent to say, when he makes his debut, it must be in London, and absolutely, it's what they wanted. They wanted to come to the best marathon, and to make his debut in London. So, and hopefully in years to come, I'll have that conversation with Mr. Ingebrigtsen make his marathon debut. But we never know.
We can hope, we can dream.
Yes, we can.
And I think, it's just wonderful to think of all of that coming together, all that hard work of assembling those fields. You've got to pray everyone stays healthy. You've got to field all those arguments about the pace and try and juggle that. But when the races start, what does it then look like for you? Can you enjoy it? Do you sit back and enjoy it? Or is there still an element of feeling responsible for what happens?
Yeah, look, there's not much you can do when the gun goes. It's at the end of the day, our job is to put the fields together, get everybody to London, make sure they're all looked after well in London. We've got all the information, everything prepared as best they can, without any sort of issues. Go through the whole of race week and do what we need to do race week. We have a really good, strong team working with the elite team during race week, 20 plus staff that we bring in to work to look after the athletes. And, it's a big logistical challenge, bringing them all together and making sure that they're there in London and looked after. Then, once we've gotten to the start line, the gun goes, it's down to them. We pray for nice weather. As always, it's important. We've been lucky over the years with some great weather, especially in the spring. And you just hope that the race works well. Athletes are feeling good. The pacing goes well. It's always a challenge with the pacing groups, and getting the groups together isn't so bad. It's also, just communication is such a key thing within the pacing groups, and that's what's so important. So once that goes well, then it's all you can do. Just hope for a great race, and hopefully that will be the case in April this year. But yeah, there really isn't too much you can do once that gun goes.
Well, we wish you all the best in the next few weeks and months in the lead up to London. And I guess thanks for giving us a wonderful crop of athletes to get excited about this year.
Yeah, thanks, Hannah. Thanks. Great speaking with you.
Really interesting. Where do we start? It has to be the course records or what kind of time they're going to be going for. And especially, I think, what Spencer was talking about with Sabastian Sawe and that time that he ran in Berlin and saying it was worth another 1.5 to 2 minutes.
Do you agree with that? Do you agree with that?
Well, I've watched parts of the race back, but we were both in Tokyo.
Because we were commentating at the time, weren't we? We were sort of trying to keep half an eye on the, on Berlin and then half an eye on the job.
That's right. What is the stat? It's something like it was the hottest
202 ever or something.
It's the best time in hotter weather conditions. It's the hottest world record.
Is it like veteran running? Is it like there's a bracket? We've got a record for 20 to 25 degrees, another one for 20. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. It was really good.
It was 2:02.16. So if he's saying 2 minutes off of that, then we're talking world record pace.
Mm-hmm.
Is London the place to beat that? Probably not.
And that's what Spencer says, and he said it's probably not going to go at world record pace. They'll be chasing that women's only world record on the women's side, but for the men's race, but you never know. These guys get excited, don't they? They get, it only takes one really good half marathon in the build up to kind of get you excited, and it's kind of hard. If someone asks for it, as the organizer, it'd be very hard to say no, wouldn't it? And it'd be very tempting to say yes. But the way people are running marathons nowadays, it's changed as well. There is that positive split in the second half. So you could ask for 60, 61 and then still think they might be able to pull it back to, I don't know. I'd love it, but we'll have to. You're right. It's not the fastest of courses, but it is. When the weather is right, it's not too hot. When you don't get rain, it's not that, it's okay, and it has tremendous atmosphere.
Yeah, but the course record in London is 2:01.25. That was set by the late Kelvin Kiptum. It's the third best time ever that's been run by any athlete, and that is definitely one to shoot at. And if you look even at, I think it could be in London, with everything going right, with the right athletes, with Sawe getting a little bit of help along the way from some other athletes pushing him, he could go sub 2:01.
And it's that second half as well, the second half of the course in London, when the weather's kind, when the weather's right, it's a good second half. And to see people going underneath 60 minutes in the second half now isn't that unusual, and it does lend itself. If you have a nice big group through halfway, a bit of help till 21 miles, and it's definitely possible.
I feel like it's one of those courses that needs a little bit of help from the weather. You don't want it to be a windy day. When you get on the embankment, I know it's not much, but it can happen,
if
and it's a bit more exposed
if the
on the river.
If the wind's going the wrong way, it is a long way.
And you get a lot of help at the start. It's pretty much like net downhill at the first half almost. It's like you get the first 6-7 miles. It's a really good way to start a marathon. Yeah, I think sub 2:01 from Sawe potentially.
Really?
I'm talking about the fact that he's going to win the thing, but he comes into this as the reigning champion, and I think he does come into this as the most exciting male marathon runner at the moment. We're so excited about Kelvin Kiptum. It's tragic what happened to him, and who knows what he could have done. But Sawe is the closest thing that we've had since him. And I think what I love about what he's doing is, he's improving, he's getting people excited. It's a possibility, this world record, this course record. And also he's showing everyone that he's clean. He is probably the most tested athlete in the world right now, potentially. He is inviting
definitely a marathon running.
Yeah. How many people are being tested as much as him though? We're talking like in the 20s, 30s in the last 3 or 4 months in terms of how many times. It's really insane. And one of his training partners, Benson Gebrhiwet, obviously he's been on the podcast recently, and he is saying exactly the same thing. If you've got unlimited money to come and test us, the anti-doping authorities, come and do it. Like,
Yeah,
we are
love it.
clean. Like, just do it. Like, come every day, every week, whatever you like. If you've got the finances to do it, come and do it, because they want to show that what they're doing is clean. And I think that is just, especially what happened last year with Ruth Cheptegei. It's so needed. And that's why you really support it, right?
No, and I think World Marathon Majors do a lot around this space as well. Like, they work very hard to ensure that not just testing the athletes when they turn up to their race, but before that as well, ensuring there's those profiles in place and that they do test the athletes. And because I think everything from the organisers to the sponsors, you could kind of say, oh, whatever, we want that big blockbuster moment, and then we'll move on. But everyone cares about the reputation of the sport, and they know that they have to create an environment where the fans are going to believe it. And yeah, I definitely respect Sawe and his training group for doing that. And the reason I'm excited about Sabastian Sawe is he's not been doing marathons that long, so you still feel like you're still in that sort of purple patch when you're like, there could be more there. You fast forward a little bit longer, and maybe
even though he turns 31 this year, which is mad, isn't it?
But if you go to someone like Amos Kiplimo, he's done a lot of marathons. You kind of know what you're going to get. It's going to be very good. But when you've got someone like Jacob Kiplimo or Sabastian Sawe, you just don't know. You don't know what the limit is, and it's really exciting, especially Kiplimo with that 56 half. Like, it's just mad. And that's before we can save the people that are debuting for another few minutes, because that's got the same sort of tone around it. But yeah, Sawe, you don't know what the limit is yet, and that's exciting.
Yeah, I completely agree. So that's Sawe. Going up against him is Jacob Kiplimo, who we haven't mentioned Yomif Kejelcha.
I was going to save the debuts. I was going to, of look at Kejelcha and Gebrhiwet separately.
We'll get to him in a bit. But Jacob Kiplimo and Joshua Cheptegei are both here. And here's one who has cracked the marathons now, it feels like. And here's another one who is a track great who hasn't done that yet in Cheptegei. Kiplimo was sort of fine on his debut in London, and it sounds like a weird thing to say, because obviously, like, his performance was very, very good. You compare it with everyone else, but I think you expect so much of him because of his talent. He made his debut with a second place finish, 2:03:37, then knocked over a minute off of that in Chicago to win his first major, and that in the same year, as you mentioned, Hannah, of running that 56:42 world records.
Still not ratified.
In Barcelona. Still not ratified, yeah. And we're getting pretty close to a year. This will be his third marathon. You watched him in person in Tallahassee at the World Cross. We've spoken about it on a previous podcast recently, but I mean, there's something about him that is just, he's electric to watch, isn't he? When he's in full flow, when it's working. He is someone who, at the age of 25, the sky's the limit for him. We do not know what his limit is.
Yeah. No, and it sounds almost cliche to say, but it's like athleticism. I think, you get people that got a huge engine that can, run in Valencia, that can run on a pancake flat course, run fast. But you kind of say, well, what would happen if we took them out of that? What happens if we put them on a bit of mud, on some cross country, on a windy course, on something like London where you've got to twist and turn? And I've got zero doubts that Kiplimo can master anything. And his 3 World Cross titles show that. And, I think that's something that not all of these marathon greats have got in their locker. They've not got that ability to kind of compete on all surfaces. We talked about Helen Nabiri yesterday, world champion. It's indoors, outdoors, road and cross. Like, that's pretty cool, and he's sort of, I think Kiplimo could do that. Maybe we won't see him indoors, but yeah, he's got that kind of, he's got that diversity that he can do lots of different things. So I think that's why I think he's so good.
Yeah. So let's go through some of the others. We'll get to. Well, first of all, Kejelcha is in there. If they're going through,
you can talk about the debuts if you want.
I'm getting there. I just want to sort of, there's some of the more exciting talking points. Kejelcha is also there in terms of PBs. We're going down the list. Second at a Tokyo Marathon last year, so he's got great pedigree. Amos Kiplimo was a winner in London in 2022, so he knows the course. He knows how to win this. Tamirat Tola as well.
Can I say, Tola he just brings such another level when he's wearing that Ethiopian vest.
Yeah.
And I haven't, which I love. I love it. You know, world champion, Olympic champion. I kind of admire the fact he doesn't seem to care about kind of this side of the marathon world so much. I'm sure he does, but I think we're yet to have seen the best of Tola in outside of a championship. So it'd be cool to see that here.
Yeah, he was in that weird London Marathon a couple of years ago where, as we were watching on the coverage, everyone disappeared in a tunnel and didn't come back out again. But ended up winning the Olympic title later that year. He was meant to run in Amsterdam, which was a big race last year because it was an anniversary race for the Amsterdam Marathon, but he withdrew due to injury, and he's already raced the marathon this year, Tola, in Doha, just a week and a half ago. Mm-hmm. He ran 2:05:40, which for him is it's not slow, but it's not nowhere near his level. We're talking 2 minutes off his PB. And he said to AW that he only felt at 80%, and he still feels a little bit of a pain with the injury that he had before. So it's one to watch, I think. Mm-hmm. But I mean, nothing to worry about at this stage. He's got a marathon under his belt. I wonder whether that's a little bit of a tester. So sort of see where he's at with that recovery, but clearly not quite back at his sort of feeling completely comfortable with himself. Let's go to some debutants first, and we'll go back to some of the other talking points. So Yomif Kejelcha, this is a really hugely anticipated debut.
What a London Marathon must be super proud to have him debuting here. I think that's they should be bragging about that. Well, I think they are.
Well, yeah, and I think so like Spencer was saying about Jacob Kiplimo, you know, if you when you make your debut, do it with us. And then here's Kejelcha doing that. You know, he's a former, well, he still is the half marathon world record holder officially in terms of ratified world records, 57:30 in Valencia, has a couple of world outdoor silver medals, including one just from the Tokyo World Championships, the 10,000 meters that happened in September, a couple of world indoor golds. He won the Valencia half in October. He was meant to run a race this month, but had to withdraw due to injury. So another one to watch because we do not want to miss out on that. But I just wonder, what do you think in terms of his capabilities in over 26.2 miles? Is this something that's going to be right in his wheelhouse? Because we've talked before about him going for fast times, for top medals, and he's always someone that is capable of doing that.
I think when I was thinking about Kejelcha debuting, first thing I wanted to do was go and look up Kelvin Kipton's debut, 2:01:53, and that's the fastest ever debut. I think, I actually commentated on that race, and it was super hard because there was nothing on Kelvin Kipton out there. He didn't have the accolades that you'd expect for someone that was going to run that. And this is what the marathon teaches you. You know, we know that from Joshua Cheptegei. You know, you look at Kejelcha on paper and you'd say, well, yeah, let's go for it. Let's have the fastest ever debut. And I do believe that could happen. I think he's a very exciting athlete. The 57:30 in Valencia gives me a lot of confidence, even though that was 2024. The thing that takes a bit of confidence away from me is, I think on the track so often we've seen Kejelcha go for really ambitious times, really ambitious splits. And I just wonder if he's got kind of the patience for 26.2. I think perhaps he will. Perhaps he'll have such huge respect for the event that we might see, like we did from Jacob Kiplimo last year in London, we might see a conservative debut and then something big for the second. But there's just a part of me that I think Kejelcha's kind of, he's, for me, quite an emotive runner. And he sort of, you show him some empty track and he goes, let's go for it. And I worry the same might happen on the road. So if he can have a calm race and sit in the pack, I think that's going to be to his benefit. But so surprised, like excited and nervous, kind of an equal measure.
Yeah, I'm excited, and we also should mention Hagos Gebrhiwet as well, because he himself is an Olympic medalist. He's won he has a world title to his name. He has a 5K gold, so on the roads. That was from 2023. Also has a couple more medals at world level too. So, and he's someone that people won't talk about as much, but it has a similar kind of pedigree really to Kejelcha in a way, doesn't he? I guess we just don't see with Gebrhiwet. It's more I guess with Kejelcha, the excitement is from these sort of fast times that we've seen, these big head-to-heads in Diamond League meetings and things, isn't it? That's why it's a little bit more visible. But Gebrhiwet could also be a success.
And the only thing about Gebrhiwet is why wait so long to debut? If you feel like this does suit you, I mean, Kejelcha's 28, so it's still not a young debut, but I think it's kind of interesting seeing these track stars that wait so long before debuting. Does it mean it's sort of like a last gasp kind of try and squeeze an extra turn out of the career, or is it you just been, I don't know, do you get what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
you know,
no,
if you, like Kiplimo, he's done it early because he's seen something in training, or something in his motivation that wants him to do that. Whereas Gebrhiwet to wait all the way till he's 31, 32.
Yeah. I guess for that, do you look at? We don't know what his mindset was. We don't know what his plan was last year. But I imagine coming 13th at the World Championships wasn't the plan.
No.
So I guess when you sort of feel like you're not quite hanging with the best at a major champs, and you've been thinking about when you step up, that's the time to do it, I guess. So maybe it's as simple as that.
But yeah, and Kejelcha's like right on the, that great silver in Tokyo. Like he nearly pulled it off. It was just Gracier getting past him at the last second. I think you're right. I think Kejelcha's sort of sat in a track career that he's been very, very, very good at, and he's just stepping out. He's kind of riding the wave and stepping off the top of it. Which you're right. Yeah, maybe Gebrhiwet just prefers the track, and he's had to wait until it's maybe his only not saying it's his only option, but that it's the best option.
Before we round this up, then, Emanuel Petros is someone that we're big fans of, just especially from what he did last year and the improvements he's made, and getting that silver medal. I know he would have thought he had that gold in the bag before Alphonse Simbu pipped him on the line, and good questions about the whether they've got their photo finish ready here. And he had two very different second place finishes last year, with the sort of elation of Valencia and having such a good run there, but also obviously missing out on the gold in Tokyo. And he's creeping closer to that European record. It's 2:03.36, set a new German record of 2:04.03 in Valencia. Obviously, it was a warm day in Spain. The course is flatter, but if you're looking at progression, it looks like that might be in sort of Petros's sights, I think.
And he came through the field, didn't he, in Valencia? It was quite a well-measured run, and he was closing very fast and picking up a lot of people. And so I wonder with London, either he might be a bit more ambitious in the first half, or if he uses the same tactics, he's going to have even more athletes to help him along the way. The field here is going to be so dense in London, and we see it time and time and again, don't we? Everyone hang in there for just past halfway, and then the group starts to splinter. That's what happens every year. And I think, I think Petros will go for it. I think he'll go out hard, but he's going to have potentially, I don't know, do you think I'm right? Do you think there is more density there to kind of help him around that 2-3 mark than he might have had in Valencia?
Yeah, it's a bit more loaded here, isn't it? I mean, it's just the sort of level has just gone up a little higher. I know Valencia is it's one of the biggest races in the world right now, but it doesn't attract the fields that
not
still
this
the
chunk
majors
of,
do.
This chunk of 2-3, especially London,
and it's not even putting him all the way to the finish. It's getting him to a point at which he can push if he has to on his own. And I mean, if you watch Valencia, if anyone's watching Valencia and they were watching Petros, the way he finished, he closed that race, the last 5-6K was phenomenal. The injection of pace, the fact that he could beat the strength that he had at the ends. He was picking people off. He was nowhere near the top three, and it looked like it was kind of like most times you see this like this in a marathon, closing 4-5K, and you've got these big gaps. It's kind of usually likely to finish around that kind of those three. Would if it's, let's say there's three that's broken, don't know what order they're going to be in, but it's going to be those three. It's going to be on the podium. It didn't work like that in Valencia, and it was all because of how Petros timed that, and just tactically was just on it. He's a very smart marathon runner, and I think that's another thing you have to really think about. And just before we go, Joshua Cheptegei, is this where he finally does it? We said before, which podcast was it on before that was it Amsterdam where he was only fifth, and we said, is that it for him? He's back again. He's so good on the track. He's like one of the best that we've seen in the last decade, and you want it to work for him because you don't want it to. Oh, not it does like tarnish your legacy, but there's this expectation that if you're that good over 5 and 10 on the track, that you can step up and you can be that good in the marathons, and some of the women that we've mentioned before are the ones who are really showing that can happen. Cheptegei, it needs to click for him soon, because it's no longer, you can't roll out many of the excuses now of, I don't know what it feels like, I don't know how to do this. He's competed over marathons, and he should get it. He should have it down to know what he's doing by now.
No, and I hope it does all click together. You tinker with your fueling plan, you tinker with your build and your taper and all that. And it could be wonderful if Cheptegei's put all that experience together for this, London Marathon this year. But that, in a way, the fact that he's not cracked it, it's a great advert for marathon running. It's not as simple as be good, be talented, extend. It's harder than that. And yeah, we know that, but I think it's almost I think good for the event to kind of have it smacked in the face like that. You've got someone who's a world record holder on the track, and then can't live with these guys, these specialists on the road. So I don't know. It's like when you pick your average Joe. I am not calling Joshua Cheptegei an average Joe, but it's, we all talk about this. If you take someone who's not an athlete and put them in the shot put circle, or whatever it is, I think it does show that this event is complicated. It's one of the most entertaining events in the world, in sport, full stop. And I think the fact that Cheptegei hasn't cracked it yet is credit to that difficulty.
Right. Okay, let's leave it there. We just want to say thank you so much to everyone at the London Marathon for trusting us in Elite Announcement Week. There's a lot more to come, as Hannah was saying. And if you've missed any of the episodes this week, you can, of course, go back and listen back on Monday, especially to those interviews with Emil Caress and Ailish McColgan. But for now, it's goodbye.